Hello and welcome to Grog in Prague podcast, and this is Michelle. I'm just waiting for my co-host and our guest to join the call. So while we're waiting for that, it's going to be just a little bit quiet. So we will be getting the show started here pretty soon. Looks like I've got one of the co-hosts on the line. We'll bring her in just a moment. Hello, Crystal.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you.
Great. So we're just waiting for Bob and our special guest. I'm not going to say yet until we're all here. And as soon as we're all here, we'll officially get it started. So it should be a lot of fun. Oh, it looks like we've got another one. Just a moment. Hello, Rob.
No, it's William.
Oh, hi, William. I couldn't tell because it came across as all ones, and so sometimes when he's called from England, it comes across as all ones. So hold on just one moment, William, and we'll give you your proper introduction. Hold on just one second. Hi, Rob. We're all here. I've got Crystal on the line, and of course you know me. I'm Michelle. Hi, Rob. We're going to introduce our special guest.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, great. So with no further ado, I want to say it is my great pleasure to say that I am sharing this podcast with Crystal. Say hello, Crystal.
Hi. How are you, everybody?
Hi, and Rob. Hello, Rob.
Oh, I'll tell you later on. Namaste.
Okay, great. Namaste. And our very special guest is William MapOTHER. Thank you, William, for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. I know we've spoken before, but it's always great to talk to you. And I'm so glad that you made time in your schedule for us.
Of course. I'm happy to. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, great. Well, I know that we've been going over with you ahead of time what some of the questions were going to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with that, and then we can kind of go from there. And feel free, if there's anything else that we haven't covered, to jump in and say something about that.
That sounds terrific. I think we just we can let the conversation wander wherever it wants to wander.
Exactly.
Now, let me ask you a quick question. Are we live or is this taped?
No, this is taped.
And if something horrendous occurs, is it possible to edit it out, or are we all in?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, we'll edit it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no problem.
We will do that. Absolutely. We made this so that it is a private recording. And even though it looks like a normal blog talk show, we have this as a private recording. It is not being broadcast. It will not be broadcast until afterwards. And if there is something that happens during the show that is a boo-boo or just it's not appropriate to publish it on the podcast, we absolutely will edit that out. So don't worry.
Okay. I don't anticipate anything. I just wanted to make sure.
I don't blame you. You want to be careful what gets out over the airwaves, and Blog Talk Radio is a little bit different. They tend to have everything live, and so I'm glad that at least we have this option so that if we need to edit something out, we can.
Terrific.
Okay, great. So as most people know you, William, from Lost, but of course you've done a lot of other things. And I just wanted to kind of start off talking about some of those other things and also your connection to Lost. So the biggest thing I'd like to ask you about is, I know when you were on Lost Mirror Moments, which is where we've talked before, you told us about Slated, and I know it's been a few years and things have really ramped up and you've had a lot going on with that. But would you please tell us about Slated and how people can become involved in it?
Yeah, that's terrific. Slated is an online marketplace to connect independent filmmakers with investors. And it differs from crowdfunding sites like Indiegogo and Kickstarter because those allow people to donate to projects in exchange for perks like hats or CDs, or in the case of some webisodes, to pre-purchase episodes. On Slated, however, the participants, the users, actually invest in the projects, and often film projects are LLCs, so they would be investing in those and sharing in the profits, which is not something you do on those other sites. And we now have about close to about 35,000 users and somewhere around 4,000 projects. I am one of 4 co-founders, and it really got rolling back in about 2007, and we took it live around 2009, 2010, I think. As a side benefit of, or a side consequence of the site, we also have created the first industry-only or entertainment industry-only network. So as I said, we have about 35,000 users, and the size of the projects range from, I don't know, maybe a $100,000 indie going to be made in Nebraska to a $20 million film that has Johnny Depp or Judi Dench attached.
Sure.
And we have both features and documentaries, and the site is, in terms of its concept, is not entirely dissimilar from the crowdfunding sites in that a user will set up, there are user profiles for filmmakers, and then there are separate profiles or pages they set up for their individual projects. And then investors can come and look at those projects and decide if they're interested in investing in them. And investors can find projects through various filters we have, by budget or genre or country of origin or language. Or more recently, we introduced a score based on an algorithm that we developed. And just as every individual is given a score based on their work history, on the projects they've been involved in, how those projects performed, that's for individuals. And then projects are given scores based on the script, the finances, the attached participants. So investors might say, I want to see only projects that are over a certain score. And then there are also company profiles. So some of the big agencies and distribution companies have profiles. And on the network for filmmakers, there are writers, directors, actors, cinematographers, editors, sales agents, people who represent movies, talent agents, just about everybody. So that's our goal, really, is to help bring some transparency and ease and hopefully efficiency to the process of independent film financing. At some point, we hope to expand it to television, but cracking the black box of independent film financing has been challenging enough without our having to go to television before we're ready. But that's the plan. I encourage anybody to go. It's free to sign up, and we've got a lot of high-profile projects, and we have a section of the site that has a lot of white papers on film finance, and there's a lot of terrific information in there. So I'm very proud of it. One of my partners is now the CEO, and he's doing a heck of a good job.
Great.
So that's a lot of information.
No, that's great. What are some of the projects that Slated helped create? What would we recognize more that's been completed and distributed?
Well, that's a good question. So up until now, Slated has not taken a fee for its services. For a couple of reasons. One, we, like a lot of Internet companies, we wanted to make ourselves indispensable, and charging a fee too soon before people know you're worth it is a way to drive people away. Another reason is that for all of Hollywood's reputation about being avant-garde and groundbreaking, the industry actually is very hidebound and traditional. And while at first that seems a little bit unusual, it actually makes a lot of sense in one way, and that is that filmmaking and making money from movies is very uncertain. One of the most famous books written about filmmaking is William Goldman's Adventures in the Screen Trade, and in there he has two rules, and this is very, very well known, and one of them is nobody knows anything. And part of that is nobody knows how any film is going to perform. And so if you're in a business in which it's very difficult to project revenue and profitability, you do everything you can to take some variables out of the equation, and it tends to make you very conservative. So the other reason we haven't charged money is it's tough to get people to change their habits in the movie business. And so
that's great.
Finance, charging people money. So I'm now returning to your original question, which is which ones has Slated financed? So because we haven't charged any money, what we are so far is really a platform for introducing filmmakers to investors. And we do not intercede or act as intermediary in any way. As a result, we are able to see how films on our site how much money they have raised, which ones have gotten produced. However, Slated is not exclusive. So a filmmaker can put his film up on our site, but go continue to look money elsewhere. So if he raises $1 million or $10 million, we have no way of knowing how much of that came from investors that he met through Slated or that he met through some other means.
Sure.
But we've had films, I forgot, I could check and see, we have, it's becoming, if it isn't already, an indispensable tool for independent filmmakers. And I'm looking up right now to see, as I said, my partner wrote after Sundance, or before Sundance, and he had a remarkable statistic in there about the percentage of films at Sundance that were listed on Slated. 68% of the 109 films that are getting their first significant exposure to the world all had Slated members in a top-line role.
That's incredible.
It's a challenging business to get people to change their mind, and the industry is changing, as everybody knows. But I think we've got a really good company, really good service, and really good people. So that, in something much larger than a nutshell, is an introduction to Slated.
No, I appreciate it because I've always enjoyed the entertainment industry, and a long, long time ago, I thought I might dabble in acting myself. So I've always been fascinated with how things work and how movies and TV shows are put together. So having something like this allows a regular person like me, if I had the funds or the means or something to get involved, this would be a place to start. Whereas when I was younger, there wasn't anything like this, as you know, because you created it and you co-created it, and now it's a great place. If something like this had been around when I was younger, who knows? I might have been on some TV show or movie because of this. So I think it's a great place.
Thank you. One of the goals is to try and, in this network, to help people connect to one another. We might help films staff up. So if you have a film on there and you're looking for an actor or a cinematographer, instead of having to go through everything through the gatekeepers in the industry, you might be able to reach out to them directly. The other big news is that several years ago, Obama and both parties in Congress supported some legislation to help create jobs by making it easier for individuals to invest in private companies. Because for a long, long time in America, if you wanted to invest in a private company, you had to have a lot of money. So if you wanted to invest in a public company like Apple or Exxon, you could just buy a single share stock. If you want to invest in a private company, you had to make about $200,000 a year, and then recently also have $1 million in savings. And it was because the Security and Exchange Commission wanted people. They believed that if people had that much money, they were sufficiently sophisticated financially that they could investigate. Because private companies don't have to share their financials with the world the way public companies do. When a public company, they've got to publish all their numbers. So if the SEC said, if you've got all this money, we trust that you're able to investigate this private company well enough yourself to see if it's a good investment. Well, the SEC finally released its interpretation of this legislation only recently, I think earlier this year it was, and they said that those who have less money, they lowered the threshold for people to invest in independent films. So those who have less money can invest a portion of their savings or their income in private companies. That can be a startup company. That can be an independent film. That could be your friend is starting a restaurant. They capped how much that you can do it, either by dollar amount or percentage. But they've opened the door to doing that. And so I'm encouraged because it means that people will be able to support through, even in a small way, filmmakers they care about, or a film that their favorite actor is in, or a friend is starting a restaurant or a startup company. So in other words, there is now another way for people to hopefully participate in addition to being an actor or a writer.
Yes, I think that's wonderful. Yeah,
being an investor now might be a possibility for people who it wouldn't have been a possibility for before.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I hope maybe someday I can, because, like I said, I do care a lot about movies and TV shows and the arts in general, and so I just think this is wonderful for anybody like-minded or who's actually working in the industry and just needs a little bit of help, or they want to make some connections. So tell everybody the website, and then we'll move on to our next question.
Sure. It's slated.com.
Great. So it's pretty easy, everybody. So
slated.com, like this film is slated to open next month. SLATED.
Great. Yes, I've actually been on the website, and I've seen it over the years, and it's incredible now. I mean, it's evolved into such an incredible source of information, and it's exciting even just looking at the website and seeing what's going on out there.
Oh, well,
so thanks for sharing all that with us. So now I'm going to get into a little bit more of the Lost Connection, so just humor me a little bit if you can. You've appeared on Constantine, the TV show, and Hawaii Five-0, alongside other Lost alums. Is it as fun for you to participate as it is for us to watch you in these Lost reunions when we see, these people are all Lost together?
It is, and I have friends who are actors, and sometimes it's not always fun for them because maybe you didn't get along with somebody on a show or something, but it is for me because I really liked everyone on the show. Now, maybe that's because I wasn't on it enough for anybody to get on my nerves or me to get on anybody else's nerves.
Sure.
But as only a visitor, I was able to pop in and make friends with everybody, and of course, always happy to see a new face. So for me, it's always fun to see old friends on the set from that show, and to work with them, and then to reconnect and get to know them a little bit better, because sometimes I was just in for a brief bit. So yes, Constantine and Hawaii Five-0.
Yes, you did a great job, as always. I enjoy seeing everything I've seen you in, and when I saw you on those two shows in particular with other Losties or Lost cast members, I was even more excited because I'm like, oh, look, there's Jeremy Davies and William MapOTHER. Oh, look, there's Jen and Hurley, and we've got Ethan, all these people all together.
And it's a little bit, sometimes it's a little, it can be a little bit disorienting because, you know, sometimes I don't see these, might not have seen somebody off the set and don't know them in real life other than maybe our interactions on the show. So for me to see them in an entirely different character with a different attitude and everything else, sometimes it's a little bit, it's disorienting in a very slight but fun way. Like, oh, really?
Cool.
This is interesting. You're not just that character, which of course they're
not.
Exactly. But I'm like anybody else. You know, it's first impressions matter, and we tend to put people in a little bit of a box. Oh, that's who they are.
Right.
That's what they're like.
Well,
that's how they sound. That's how they move. That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's like what a lot of people, Ethan did. Crystal, who's going to ask some questions here pretty soon, we've got some questions because, you know, Ethan was another character that was very polarizing. You know, people really had opinions about him. So let's just go through these last couple of questions I have, and then Crystal has some questions for you about Lost and a little bit more about Ethan. So I was looking, and I saw that there's a TV show entitled Powers. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Yes. Powers is a TV show, but you cannot see it on broadcast television. You cannot see it on cable. You cannot see it on the Internet. It is released, I understand, through the Sony PlayStation video console. And it's in Season 2. I was not in Season 1. I had not heard of it because I don't have a PlayStation, but it is released that way. And then I believe that Season 1, they're now shooting Season 2, or they may have recently finished, but Season 1 I think is now available through Netflix. But the first release of the episodes are through the video console. And I had never heard of it, but yeah, so, and it evidently has a huge following, and I think it's probably an effort by the networks and studios to react to the fact that they're not getting the eyeballs that they used to. So the thought is, if the eyeballs won't come to the show, let's take the show to the eyeballs. And if you're going to make a show for people who play video games, what kind of show would you make? And the show is based, I believe, on a graphic novel, which is perfect for that demographic. So, and it's also interesting, the show, because it's released in that way, I believe it falls between various cracks of bodies which regulate and rate content. So in other words, it's not a movie, so it's not getting a PG-13 or an R.
Right.
It's not broadcast TV or anything else. I think it's unrated. And the show, it can be a little bit graphic for language and violence, a little bit of sexual content. But it was a lot of fun. We shot it in Atlanta, and I was in several episodes. I think they probably come out. I think my last one was in January. But it was a heck of a lot of fun, and the last one we shot in front of a huge green screen, and my daughter it's about people who have powers, obviously, and special powers. Right. And so my daughter has the ability to fly, and they put us in these harnesses and whipped us up 30 feet in the air repeatedly.
My goodness.
It was like being in an amusement park. It was fun.
Wow. That's great. Well, I'll definitely have to check that out. It's funny that it's on the PlayStation because before I had a Blu-ray player, they had the Lost University. And getting back to Lost again, sorry, but, it's hard not to do. And I didn't have a Blu-ray player or an HD TV, but I really wanted to do Lost University. Well, the only way I could do it is if I bought a PlayStation. So the only reason I own a PlayStation was because of Lost.
Oh, boy. They get you one way or another, don't they?
That's right. So now I have it, and now I have the opportunity to see you in something else yet again, and I can't wait to check that out.
Oh, that's very nice.
So
well, it's a lot of fun to shoot. Go ahead.
Yeah, it sounds great. So before we move on to Crystal, are there any other projects of yours that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I'm doing a few different things. I'm also writing. I've written for a long time, but I'm preparing a television show. I've written a show that I've created with some friends, and we've written it, and we're about to go out and pitch it. So I don't want to talk about what it is yet, but that hopefully, that would be a lot of fun. And I think I've got one or two more things coming up. What's coming up? Oh, I was in an episode of Grimm. So I'm in an episode of Grimm, I think, a week from Friday. I think it is.
Okay, we'll check that out,
Yeah, and I believe I have one or two indie projects that are in post-production that are waiting to come out.
Great. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. So, Crystal, I understand that you've got some questions for William here, and go ahead and start with your first question, if you would like to.
Hello, Crystal.
Hi, William. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
First of all, I would like to say that my best friend, Deborah Johnson from England, and myself want you to know how much of a legend you are in the lost community. and
why is that? Why is that, Crystal? What makes me a legend?
Just huge fans. I mean, some of the biggest Lost fans I know are you're just great. You're one of the best characters on there, and we just love you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Up and down.
wondering, first of all, would you be willing just to give a quick little lofty shout-out to all the fans?
Sure. What do you need me to do?
Whatever you want to say. Just something special for the fans.
Well, thank you for watching first. Thank you for helping us do something we love to do. Thank you for expressing your appreciation, your interest, sometimes your outrage, your disappointment too, but your engagement in the stories that we tell. And that is something that is common among most actors, writers, directors, filmmakers I know, is appreciation, that people watch and they may not agree with it, but they're moved in some direction by the stories, and it allows us to continue to do what we do. So to everyone, thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful story, one of the best. My question is there anyone from the Lost cast that you wish you would have been able to work with more? And what did you have to do to get the part of Ethan Roth?
Well, to answer your first question, boy, almost everybody I would have liked to have worked with more, because I would have meant that I'd been on the show more, and I would have loved to have been on the show more. I would have loved to have some more scenes. Thank you, with Ben, Michael Emerson.
Yes.
I always got along well with Matthew Fox. He was a very interesting guy, very serious about his craft. I could just go down the line, whether it's Evangeline or Terry O'Quinn. God, he was always fun to work with. All these guys. And I saw Jeremy Davies on Constantine. And I would have loved to have had some more with him. So those are just a few of the names right off the top of my head. But I would have liked to have worked with all of them more, frankly.
Yeah, they're all just amazing, aren't they?
Terrific actors and professional and fun to work with.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And what was your second question?
What did you have to do to get the part on Lost? How did you go about getting that?
Well, so I'm in a group of friends who went to college, and in 2002 I planned a weekend for us to meet up and then go to a football game at our old school. And a few days beforehand, this is in 2002, a few days beforehand I got a job and I had to cancel, and my friends heaped abuse upon me. And of course I wasn't happy about it either, because I'm the one who did all the planning and then they got to enjoy it. So 2 years later, it's now early fall, mid-fall, I think September maybe, of 2004. And I had planned it again. And I was going to fly to Chicago on a Thursday, and Wednesday morning my agent called and said, I just got you an offer for 2 episodes of a new show. I said, what's the show? She said, Lost. I said, I've never heard of it. She said, it premieres tonight. And, 10 years ago, it was common to get, not even 10, sorry, 15, 20 years ago, it was common to get offers for shows. It has become less and less common as the studios and network executives have become more involved in the running of their shows. So when you see a show, unless the show has been on the air a lot or it has a really powerful producer or showrunner, the likelihood is that they've had to run the guest stars and the co-stars past the executives, and I know people who say that the executives even approve the wardrobe they pick. Wow. So for me to get an offer of not just 1 but 2 episodes was too good to pass up. So I had to, Wednesday morning I said yes, and I had to spend Wednesday afternoon tolerating the abuse from my friends who were upset. So the next morning, instead of flying east to Chicago, I flew west to Honolulu. And I later heard from my agent that she had proposed me to the casting director, who had proposed me to J.J. Abrams, who remembered my performance in The Bedroom, with a terrific movie. If nobody's seen it, it's the movie that really started my career, with Sissy Spacek and Marissa Tomei and Tom Wilkinson. We got 5 Oscar nominations, a first-time director, Todd Field. Fantastic job. And he remembered me from that, and he said, just hire him. So in answer to your question, I just got offered. I didn't have to audition at all.
That's awesome. Now, I remember you. The first time I saw you was in The Grudge.
Oh, boy, you got a good memory. Yeah. That came out. Well, you know what? I think, if I recall correctly, that came out in the fall of 2004. So that may have come out around the time that I was shooting the beginning of Lost.
Wow.
I think it came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was another one.
Awesome. Well, that's an interesting story you had there.
The short answer is I got lucky. They didn't give me a chance. They didn't give me the chance to blow it in the audition. They just said hire him.
You sure did. And the nice thing is you got to actually make more appearances in the show. Oh yeah,
you're absolutely right. I actually was in more after my character died than I was when I was alive.
Right.
So the next morning when I flew out, the show came out of the show. The show came out of the gate a big hit. So when I flew to Honolulu the next morning, it was all over the papers. Oh, it got this number of audience viewers and this share. It was a big deal.
Mhm. Very big deal. Okay, so my next question is from Gary Long, and he is from Australia. A very, very good Losty friend of mine.
Okay.
His question is, this is a theory question, so if you have an imagination. Do you have a theory on why Ethan Rom was spared during the purge? And do you think Ethan was actively complicit in the death of both parents?
Okay, two-part question. The first,
might take some thinking.
My preface to the first is that I'm happy to answer every possible question I can. There are a lot of questions that I didn't have answers to even when we were shooting, and now that it is anywhere from 6 to 10 years since then, your all's guess may be as good as mine.
Right.
I do not have a guess as to why Ethan was spared in the purge. I do not know for sure. One theory might be that, if there is a belief in some sort of an operating intelligence in the show, whether it's fate or destiny or anything else, then that being, that intelligence, whatever that is, made a decision that Ethan would be spared so that he could play a part after it.
Well, that's a great answer. Great theory.
I really don't know, and I do not believe that he was complicit in the death of his parents.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Okay. The next question is from Brandon Hauer.
Okay.
And his question is, how was it playing the first other introduced on Lost, and did it affect how people recognized you in real life?
Yes, I will tell you. So somebody else asked me about a funny story, and I'll tell you a story about being the first other, and it's also a memory, and then I'll answer separately about how it caused people to react to me in life. So to return to my little anecdote, I landed in Honolulu at, noon. They took me right to the set. Or they took me right to the production office to get fitted or anything, and they said, you need to go right to the set. So I go to the set, and they said, we don't have time to buy you any other shoes. We're going to buy the shoes off your feet. So the shoes that Ethan wears are the shoes that I'm wearing. And we got in, and we started shooting, and I think I went over there for 2 episodes, and I believe it's my second episode. I think the first one, if I recall correctly, is the golf club scene, and I really just set the clubs down with Hurley. The second episode, I believe, is when I'm shaking papayas out of the tree, and then at the end, Hurley runs in. He's not on the manifest, and then we cut to the end.
He thinks you're Lance.
So I'll tell you about that scene when I'm in the jungle, and Charlie, I can't believe the specificity with which I can remember this, but I remember Charlie. I will tell you one thing. So I'm reading the scripts on the way over, and on the plane, And, of course, it had just aired the night before, so I hadn't seen, I think I started in episode 7 or something, so I hadn't read or seen the intervening episodes. But I'm reading the scripts on the way over, and I got to the end of that second episode I was in. And when I landed, I called my agent. I said, holy God, this everybody's going to be wondering who I am. So I'm giving credit to the writers, because even on the page, the suspense of he's not on the manifest. He's not on the manifest. Yeah. And even on the page, before it had been shot, before I knew anything about the show, it was clear how suspenseful that was. They just did a fantastic job. So we land, so I'm in the jungle, and Charlie says, go get Jack. And then he turns around, he's with Claire, I don't know, a couple minutes later, and I'm standing there, and he's like, did you go get Jack? And I said, well, no. And I can't remember everything that happened after that moment, but I will tell you, I do know I had a weird look on my face that even when I see, I know, and I think that kind of cemented the impression everyone had of Ethan. It burned it into their brains. Even when I saw it on the screen, I was like, where the hell did that come from? I've never seen that expression on my face. But it was brilliant. But when we actually shot something that was not on the screen, he said, "Oh, did you go get Jack?" I think I said no or something like that. And then the scene actually continued from there. And so I hope if anybody wants, they can cut it off for 2 or 3 minutes, because sometimes people like to know what was shot and cut, and some people do not want to know. They say, let me just enjoy what exists, because it was cut for a reason, and I want to enjoy the show the way the creators intended it. So if anybody wants, they can cut out for a couple minutes. But so he says that to me, and I think we're something like 30 feet away from each other, something. They're standing next to each other, and then suddenly there's whispering all around them in the jungle. And they turn to their left and right, looking for the source of the noise. Left and right, they're looking back for each other, looking back around, whipping their heads around. And after about 2 seconds, they look back forward, and I'm standing right in front of them, as if I have somehow teleported myself 30 feet right in front of them. And Charlie looks at me, and he says something like, "What are you doing, you git?" Which is, a British term for jerk or idiot, whatever it is. "What are you doing, you git?" And I ignore him, and I'm standing right in front of Claire, and I say to her, "Don't worry, everything's going to be okay." That got cut, but I think they made the wise choice at cutting it at my freaky look, because anything after that would have diluted the effect. But so what was the second part of this question? Because that was part of what I was going to say. How was it playing the first other? So sorry, I hope these answers are not too long, everybody. I mean, you guys are bringing up all these memories, and I haven't talked about this in a while. So I'm like that guy. Oh, he's got a funny story to tell, and then cut to the next shot immediately. When is he going to shut the hell up, this guy? Anyway, so I have a line, I think, when I'm 30 feet away, and because I was the first other, when I arrived, I said, "Well, tell me something about my character." And there was a lot they didn't know about my character. So they were giving me conflicting background information, and they were a little bit vague, and they just didn't know. So even the director, when I was told to deliver my line, and it's a wide shot, if I recall correctly, which means the director and everybody else had to be far away from me, because the camera had it was a wide shot. They could, if anybody had gotten close, they could have seen it. And the reason that's important is because they kept the camera running, and the director wanted to give me direction while the camera was running. And because she's not close, she had to yell the direction. And we were losing the light. So they had to shoot quickly, because as soon as the light goes down, you're dead. So she's yelling, "Do it this way, do it this way, do it this way." And, of course, for an actor, you're always embarrassed to receive or at least I am, always embarrassed to receive my direction out loud, because you're afraid, oh, my God, now the whole crew is watching me, knowing what the director has asked me to do, and they're all going to be able to evaluate, oh, he nailed it, or, God, this guy sucks. So, as opposed to the director coming up and whispering in your ear, and then you do something, and for all the crew knows, it's exactly what the director asked for. So she's screaming, "Do it like you're an alien. Do it like you're a robot. Do it like you're happy. Do it like you're sad." So I gave about 8 or 9 in a row, And I think it was because they just wanted to give themselves some room to choose in post-production about what they thought would work for the character, and because I was the first other, what would work for the others. So that's an answer to the question, what was it like to be the first other? Well, I think it was kind of like walking through the jungle without a path. They had no idea. I shouldn't say no idea. They were still discovering what the others would be like, if they had any really weird commonalities or anything like that. So that's what it was like. And then in terms of how it caused people to react to me, it freaked some people out. I had a woman next to me in a grocery store. Turn and see me, and the show had just been on a couple weeks earlier, and she dropped what she was holding and backed up into her car. And then, of course, I was single back then. I'm now married, but I remember I was at a party, and, you know, I'm trying to meet girls like everybody who's trying to meet somebody, whoever you're trying to meet, your partner. And I'm out there, and this girl comes up to me, and she's very intense, and she says, you know what? When you walked in this party, I immediately didn't like you. I don't know why, but I immediately didn't like you. And I just realized why, because you were lost. And of course, my first thought is, oh my gosh, how many women are out there walking around and see me who think, I don't like that guy. And they never had the realization of why. So they think, I don't like that guy because of who he is. They never appreciate, it's because he played that character. So that's one memory I have.
Kind of like being typecast, people's impressions are from that very first time that they saw you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, that was so much. I just have a couple more questions. Sure. This one comes from Trudy Buchanan, and she would like to know, do you have a favorite Flight 815 survivor? You have a personal favorite?
I don't know. I always really like Saeed. I like the character of Saeed.
He is a great character.
He's a great character and terrific actor, and I thought he had a really interesting storyline.
Yes.
Yes. So off the top of my head, I will tell you, I'm a little bit allergic to favorite questions. Only because I change my mind all the time. I favorite music, movies, whatever. But I will answer it with this qualification, that as of right now, at this moment, that would be my favorite. But if you ask me again in 5 minutes, I might change. How about that?
Right. Well, there was just so many characters, and they're all great characters with great storylines. So it would be hard to choose. All right. Next question and final question from me is from Ted Francis. How do you feel about the series finale of Lost, and did you watch it with the rest of the world when it originally aired in May of 2010?
The second part first, yes, I did watch it with everyone else. There actually was a party in Century City that the producers and the studio held. They rented out if I recall correctly, a big restaurant. They had movies everywhere. And so a lot of the crew and some of the cast gathered to watch there together. The cast is so large that some people were already off shooting other things, but there were a number of cast members there and a lot of crew members and producers and writers. So, we all watched it together for the first time there, and that was a blast.
Awesome.
And I would say that I liked the ending, given that I think they had an equation so complicated that there was a limited number of ways to end the show and still fulfill all that they had set out to do and fulfill all the parameters that they had established. So I think there might have been an ending that was more satisfying to people, to some members of the audience, because obviously you're not going to get something that satisfies all or even perhaps a majority. But it probably, the different scenarios I've always heard suggested would have violated some aspect or truth or principle or event in the show. So whenever I get around with people and they're like, well, what about this and this, and they start bouncing their ideas back and forth, and every time somebody comes up, well, they should have ended it with this. Somebody will say, oh, well, wait, that would have, then what is this part? Is that a dream sequence? Because that would violate this part. So given how much they had set up, I think that they had a limited number of ways to end it. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think?
Are you saying you're satisfied with the ending? Did you enjoy it, or?
I did enjoy it in that it, as I say, satisfied or avoided, as far as I can recall, avoided any major violations of what had come before, in terms of the rules of the world.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So I was satisfied from a story point of view, from a rules of the world / logical point of view, from an emotional point of view. I'm not entirely sure how I reacted, frankly, or how I don't recall exactly what my response was. I don't know if I felt entirely satisfied, but as I said, it's tough. They had painted themselves into a bit of a corner. What do you guys think?
I think the ending was absolutely brilliant. It was different from anything else that I'd ever seen, and the most beautiful thing from anything else I'd ever seen. So I personally am happy with it. Yeah, I really loved it.
Yeah. I'll just say that I loved almost all of it. To go into more
Michelle
detail,
has a little bit different opinion than me.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I mean, as I said, that's part of the fun of it is you don't have to agree with everything.
Right.
I'll give you the Reader's Digest version, and that is that I had thought that The Flash Sideways was a second chance for everybody, and when it turned out not to be, I felt like, oh. So that's what made me sad. So the ending was good. Like you said, there's only so many ways they can end it, but the stuff that they had said before the season started said there was going to be 2 timelines, and they were going to join up, and for some reason I just felt like The Flash Sideways was like the best case scenario. I mean, Ethan came back, so everybody had a chance.
Yeah.
So it made me sad, because then you realize, oh, and then it's like, well, yes, all those people are together, and that's great, but then you think about the people that even weren't in the church, so.
Yes.
I don't know. I really don't have enough time to discuss it, but I really do.
And I love how you did that, Michelle. You just explained all that without giving any spoilers for our audience that have still yet to finish it.
Well, hey, if you haven't finished it by now, I'm not afraid of a spoiler.
Oh, no, I've got 4 people that are watching it right now for the first time.
Okay, I apologize. I'm glad I didn't spoil it for anybody.
No, that was brilliant. Great job.
Great. So, Rob, did you have something that you wanted to ask William, or did you?
Yeah, okay, so you'll have to excuse me because I'm one of those British gets, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning here, so I'm quite tired.
Oh, my God, you poor guy.
And I've been working on the podcast production for 24 hours now, almost non-stop. Oh. So I'm very tired. So you'll please excuse me if I kind of slur and you don't understand me. So, yeah, I think I'll let Michelle do the fun ones, but I thought let's watch the Namaste episode, and get some kind of tips on the questions. And obviously Lost it's well known. I mean, it's the greatest show ever as we're all concerned, but it's well known for the continuity errors. And when we were watching, I don't know if you've been asked this before, but when we were watching the episode, it dawned on us. So Ethan, it wasn't exactly Namaste where Ethan was born. It was in the previous episode, but it dawned on us. Ethan, 77. That's 27 years between the first season of Lost. I don't know if it ever dawned on you that they chopped your age from about 12 years.
Yeah, that was mentioned a few times, and I was actually aware of it. Of course, like most actors, I didn't object much to them making me a lot younger than I was. But yes,
you were 27.
Well, that's very generous of you. Thank you. But yes, it did dawn on me. I saw it mentioned in a few boards. I mean, you know, in the early years, some of the other actors and I would go on some of the boards. I can't remember. There was one that was really popular that I would interact with. And so people would mention those things. And you're absolutely right. And I don't know, I don't recall the details well enough to know if that was something that could have been avoided, or if, again, there were just so many moving parts and different chronologies that had to be synchronized that sooner or later something had to give.
Yeah, I think the storyline was so complex it had to do somewhere along the line.
That I think that you're exactly right, and you know, it happens with almost every movie or TV show. I've been on, both sides of it, where I'm a fan and I recognize something, and where I'm participating in developing, creating, telling the story. And I can tell you that if you watch most TV shows or films closely, there's just always something that is either totally impossible or highly improbable because of the elapse of time. It's just really difficult. So especially on a show like this, I think it was probably unavoidable, and hopefully it didn't get in the way of, you know, most people enjoying it.
Not at all. It didn't affect my view of the show, and it was interesting.
No.
So I didn't really think about that, you know, until Rob and I were talking about it yesterday and today, and I really think that just wasn't really that big of a deal.
Well, good.
I think most people wouldn't have noticed it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, some of those losses have got quite analytical minds, so it's hard to follow us, but I don't think it spoiled the story in any way, no.
Oh, good. I hope not.
Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you've got a message for him. This is kind of a two-part interview on the previous one, and we thought we couldn't top that one. We had Mike Panera, who panned Right Captain Right, which was in the Namaste episode.
Okay.
Well, if you want to send a bit of a message.
Originally from Iron Butterfly. Iron Butterfly.
That episode was right after Amy gave birth to Ethan, and was the first time they mentioned what they were going to name you. So that was really your first introduction to, chronologically, in 1977 to the show. So they had that song in that episode.
And here's what they had to say.
That's wow. You guys, I mean, you guys should have all been in the writer's room.
We're crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the degree to which you're familiar with the show is really impressive.
Yeah, we put a lot of work into this podcast.
You what?
We put a lot of work into the podcast.
Oh my gosh, I can tell. I can only imagine. Let me ask you guys, how many times would you say that each of you has seen the series all the way through?
Oh my goodness. I've been watching and rewatching ever since it began, like ever since it ended. Literally, William, I watch it, and as soon as it ends, I watch it again.
Well, let me ask you. And of course, that's every film. That's every creator's dream, is that they create something that is so compelling that it bears up under repeated watching. So let me ask you, what do you think it is that makes the show so compelling and so watchable and rewatchable?
Well, it's a complex storyline, isn't it? Like we said before, it's so involved and complex. If you're intelligent, it gets the mind working.
Yeah.
I can't even really find the words. I mean, there's just so many things about that show that set it apart from everything else for me, and for probably the majority of the Losties out there. It's incredible. It has so much rewatch value. You know, it's just, there's always something. I catch new things in the show, and I mean, it's been over for 6 years now, and
I think so.
Still always find something new that I hadn't seen before.
Wow!
So it's just incredibly done.
Well, they did do a good job, and I know they worked their tails off. So I'm really happy that it bears up, as I said, under repeated watching, because you see there are a lot of shows we've all seen, and it's a one and done. You see it once and then you're finished.
That's true.
Exactly.
Speaking of rewatching episodes, I haven't watched it quite as many times as Crystal, but I've seen it a few times. And getting ready for the podcast today, of course, I like to watch a little bit of a lost episode. And I just have to say that fight scene with you and Jack, you have some great moves. You kicked them, you knocked him right in the head with your foot. It was just incredible.
Well, thank you. Well, all right, I'm going to be honest. Some of that was me, and some of it was my stunt double, which maybe you guys already suspected.
You have a great double.
Yeah, he's a great guy, Mike, and I don't know if we've worked together since then, but he did a terrific job, and it makes perfect sense. They didn't want to risk having me in there swinging arms and feet right near their star actor's face. So, especially because if there was rain and the ground is slippery and there's emotion going on, and we didn't get that long to rehearse the choreography. So it makes a lot of sense in times like that. So I did some of it, but this is my shout out to my stunt double.
Oh,
right.
It looked good.
They made you look
so good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it did.
Thank you very much.
So, Rob, did you want me to ask any of those other questions?
Yeah, go on. I feel a bit silly about those, but one's quite important, but Michelle will put those to you.
The first one or the second one?
No, I do both of them.
Do both of them. Okay, so here's where we get a little silly. So we'll kind of end things here, William. Rob, like you said, he's been working very hard. He's the producer of our podcast. He works very, very hard behind the scenes as well as being on the show. And he says he has a very, very complex question that every Lost fan needs to know the answer to. So
okay, this is a hell of a build-up.
This is a build-up. Okay, so his question is a question mark. And the reason why, so you want to tell him why, Rob?
Well, it's an episode, isn't it? Lost question mark.
Yes, that was an episode of Lost. And I told you it was going to be silly, and then just to make it a little bit more silly.
I like that. Very inventive.
She's very creative, Rob.
That is funny. I don't even know how to respond to that. I think maybe silence is the best response.
That sounds good. We have one more question. And it's a question. Rob would like you. You may have not even met him once, but the next time you see Kevin Durand, Keeney,
yes.
Can you please ask him for Rob if he makes good Easter eggs?
Okay. I do see Kevin. As a matter of fact, I made a little independent film with him a couple years after Lost ended.
Great.
About a very famous Canadian bank robber.
Uh-huh.
And I saw him there.
Awesome.
But I don't know if I've seen him in a while. But next time I do, I will ask him, Rob, a very tired Rob wants to know if you make good Easter eggs.
So that's a throwback to when he was making eggs. When he was making
if he
eggs,
makes eggs.
Lost.
He makes good eggs.
Oh, if he makes good eggs. Okay.
He makes good eggs.
He does make good eggs, but we want to know if he makes good Easter eggs because this is an Easter-themed episode.
Got it.
On our podcast.
Totally understand.
I told you it was
Kevin,
silly.
do you make good Easter eggs?
Right. That's the important
I think
part.
I can do that.
Okay, awesome.
Of the mist was on the field, the gray and the green together. The noise of a distant bar machine hooked up the first light came. The tattered necklace, the pageant trees on the southern side of
You've been incredible. Crystal, Rob, any final thing or?
What we'll do is we're gonna carry on in like just a bit of close up and talk about future episodes, but we'll be sure to send you that so you can listen to and vet if there's anything you'd rather not us talk about, so you can vet and we can edit out if you would rather it be edited out.
Send you the recording, yeah.
Oh, you're very thoughtful. I'm fine with everything we've discussed. I don't have a desire to cut anything out. You guys might want to cut out some of my long rambling answers.
Not at all. Love it.
But I don't have anything I'd like to cut out. Send me a link when it's up, and I'll send it out over my various social media outlets.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
wonderful.
Thank you, William.
Thank you so much. You've been so kind.
Thank you all very much.
I mean, you haven't heard my sense of humour. When you hear my kind of what sense of humour in the close-ups, you might think differently.
Well, you got a lot of post-production is very, very powerful. So be kind to me.
We will always. And thank you
all right,
so
you guys.
much.
Thank you so much, and I'll repeat again. Thank you for watching.
Brilliant.
Thank you, William, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a lovely evening. Rob, get some damn sleep.
Okay.
Good night, you guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay, you guys.
Oh, wow, brilliant.
Yeah.
Awesome
Just
interview.
before it can get better with my Paneer, it goes and gets better.
I know. Well, William is always awesome. I'm so humbled and honored that I even have the ability to interview him. You know I've mentioned this before, that this wasn't the first time I've spoken to him. I did see him at a Lost convention right after the first season, and he's always been the kindest, most generous actor I've ever had a conversation with, honestly.
He was very sweet and very funny.
Yes, he is. He's a good sport. Well, Rob,
I listened to
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I listened to the Mike Panera interview, and that was incredible. I sure wish I could have been a part of that.
Well, this was even better.
Yeah, well, we wanted you.
Even better.
We wanted you to be, and, we had it scheduled for the Saturday, which you were on, but for some reason I got the date mixed up. So we were really sorry to miss you on that podcast also.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I don't know about you lot, but I've had a beaming smile on my face right throughout all that interview.
Oh, definitely, always. He's hilarious. And yes, Crystal, you were with us in spirit on that. We really missed you.
Thank you.
So I'm so glad you at least could make it for this one, because this one is really incredibly excellent. So I know we're running out of time, Rob. You had a few things you wanted to do. We only have about 20 minutes
so we've got
two
songs to play. Yeah, so we've got 2 songs to play, kind of topical. If we want to go straight into, let's go straight into the Hanging Tree, because let me do a bit of a talk up first. Obviously, this is the Hanging Tree, and if we remember, in season 1 is Charlie was on the tree by Ethan. So being a big fan of this band, it seemed to make sense. Plus, if you look at the album cover, it's got a man in black riding a not penny's farthing bike.
Oh.
If you listen to the lyrics of the album, it's quite unbelievable, because this is 6 years before season 1. It's got mentions of wilderness born from the torture of souls. It mentions the word lost throughout the album. So it's quite uncanny. It makes you think, did the writers actually listen to this album? Probably not. But it's so uncannily like the Lost Storyline, because it's a concept album, which Steve will know about, the absent Steve will know about. And so let's go straight into that and get a bit of a rest, and then we can play the other song.
Okay, so this is The Hanging Tree by Arena, and we're going to play this for you all now. It's about 7 minutes, so here we go.
Walk along the waterfall, watching as the world turns red. Wonder where the river flows, and the blood on the riverbed. Poison lies too close to us, reach across the salt and the sand, moving deeper into could have helped. Maybe I'd have found a way. Poison lies too close to us. Reach across the salt and the sand, moving deeper into the land.
Okay, so that was The Hanging Tree. And Rob, I think
and the artwork on that, Chris will probably know the name is Hugh Syme. It's been an ambition of mine to get a Rush song on, but Hugh Syme created the artwork of that, and he created the artwork of so many Rush albums.
Oh. Right.
There is unrest in the forest, there is trouble with the trees, for the maples want more sunlight and the oaks ignore their pleas.
Anyway, so it dawned on me when I was promoting it all today. Like I've been like the Dharma workman I cannot underestimate. I've been non-stop for almost 24 hours on this to make this work. So to get the final touches of this polished off. So I'm absolutely knackered. So like I say, Dharma workman me today. Anyway, so yeah, it dawned on me when I was doing the promoting is I've used a meme. I thought this is a fun meme. And it dawned on me, it's very much like the artwork on the recent IQ album, Road of Bones.
That's right.
And I thought, well, we could play the one we've got already on the system, but it doesn't really make sense because it's a festive song. The only way it makes sense is because we could do the For Crystal's Sake again. But I thought, I'll get in touch with them. I'll see if I can get in touch with the band members. Right, we've got 3 hours to go. I'll see if I can get in touch with a band member to get permission. And I actually did. So, and this we're talking about the giant of neo progressive rock here. So to get them that promptly was amazing. But anyway, so yeah, it reminds me so much of the artwork. If people listen to this, they know the band and they look at and they've seen my meme on the Lost Grooves, and they go and have a look at the recent IQ album Road of Bones. It's so similar.
It really is.
I've been a bit of a knucklehead behind the scenes of late. So, and you might want to edit this out. And Ethan Rob at times was a bit of a knucklehead. So let's go for knucklehead.
Okay. Well, also let's talk about the tour dates for IQ.
Oh yeah.
Before we play the song.
Sorry, Neil.
They're going to be in Reichenbach, Germany.
Yeah, have you got them?
What's that, Rob?
Have you got them? Yeah, go ahead.
I've got them. Okay, so when we did contact them today, Rob contacted them. We asked if we could please promote their upcoming tour dates. So on April 1st, they're going to be in Reichenbach, Germany. On April 8th, they're going to be in Oslo, Norway. On April 9th, they're going to be in Malmö, Sweden. And in Reichenbach, they're going to be at the Art Rock Festival. In Oslo, it's at the John D. Ved Rockefeller. And in Malmö, it's at the Progressive Circus 2016. So, without further ado, we are going to play Knucklehead. Here we go.
Any time of any day. Soon as I'm revived, thoughts take flight. Sometimes I'm dead inside. Sometimes I'm out of sight. Any answer I'll deny. Time when we're allowed to say goodbye. Though you were seldom true, sometimes you fell too hard.
Okay, that's Knucklehead.
Can you still hear? Yeah, that's a bit of a loud song. Jesus. And yeah, I was a bit of a knucklehead again. I think I forgot to mention the arena title. It's actually called The Visitor, and that is it's a concept album. Like I say, Velocities want to check it out. And they will not believe the uncanniness of the lyrics towards the story of Lost. So yeah, The Visitor, if you can understand me with all the slurring at this time in the morning. Yeah, Arena, The Visitor, you need to check that out, fellow Losties. And yeah, we need to say night now. We're closing up, and as IQ probably just did it for us and said goodbye in the lyrics there. So just a bit of a quick closer up and what we're going to do in the future. We've got we're trying to get this Steve's side feature going called Pilkey's Ultimore Tour, and we've got someone set up for that maybe next week.
Great.
Or 2 weeks. Beyond that, I'm going to take a big rest. We've got the Halloween special. I think the most scariest proposition of that was, can we do it without Steve? And I think we proved it on this one. We can do it without Steve. I think we've absolutely proved it, and we made a fantastic job, and both of you made a brilliant job.
Thank you.
Well, thanks. And we certainly miss Steve, but we do understand with his new ventures going on that, you know, it would be a conflict. But anything he can do as a contributor, he said that he would do his best, and we certainly look forward to any.
I don't think we need a note. I don't know. He said he would do a few notes for back when we do our Halloween.
Yeah.
But after that, I don't know if we're going to need them. We'll see.
Well,
anyway,
still,
so just like to say,
he's been great.
Yeah?
He's made a really great podcast with us.
I'd just like to say all this work has absolutely made me realise what it's like to be William MapOTHER's surname minus the second of the letters. Did you get that one? Remove the second of the letters.
You're making me think, Rob.
It's being remove A and P. What do you get when you remove A and P from MapOTHER?
I gotta have pencil and paper.
Yes, that's absolutely made me realise the work that mothers have to do this.
Oh,
it's a mother.
I totally have respect for females and their workload with families now after this, because I've worked my arse off. Can we say that? I've worked my ass off for 24 hours.
Yeah, well, speaking of mothers, my mom is under the weather. I've been taking care of her, and I need to take care of her some more. So this is a good time to end the podcast for tonight. And thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Rob.
Have we got you in future, Crystal?
Thank you. Well wishes for your mother.
Have we got you in the future,
very much.
Crystal? Have we got you in the future still, Crystal?
I'm not going anywhere as far as I can see now.
After this one, you've got to say we've got to do more after this.
Oh, we got to do more.
Yeah. Absolutely. Everyone's been great. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Good night, everybody.
I'll go and get some well-earned rest.
Yes, Rob, you definitely have earned it. And Crystal, thanks for everything you've done. And we're going to play out the show. And thank you, everybody, for joining us and for listening, and special, special thank you to William MapOTHER for being our special guest on the podcast tonight. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.